If you're a volunteer working on your church's tech team, first, thank you for your service. But two, you might find yourself wearing a lot of hats. Besides your soundboard, you're probably running lights. If you have lights, you're running your live stream and switching cameras for that. And you're flipping slides for your lyric presentation. And that's a lot, to be honest, that's a lot. If your church is like mine, usually it's short on volunteers, and it's one person or two doing a whole lot of things. But wouldn't it be great if you could focus more on mixing, or maybe more on switching your cameras for your live stream, instead of flipping slides? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how Uplift can make that a reality, because Uplift can automatically advance the presentation. So that will help you to focus more on what really matters. So as I jump in here, I just want to explain 3 problems. Probably not an exhaustive list, but at least 3 most notable problems with traditional lyric presentations or slides. With the first one, which is kind of like a no duh, it's very blatant, but usually you have to run the presentation. As I said, kind of obvious, but you're doing this. Yeah, on the keyboard. You become quick friends with that right arrow button. Just the simple fact of a manual presentation with slides is you've got to actually run it. You've got to flip the slides and present it to the congregation or to your team if you have like a confidence monitor situation going. And that takes you away from focusing on other things, like mixing. You have to actually sit there, eyes peeled on the presentation, and make sure you're at the right place at the right time. And not only is this during service, or services if you have multiple, but even during rehearsal and practice. Sometimes the team might rely on you to provide vocalists with the lyrics on the confidence monitor, and you have to be going through switching the slides during rehearsal when you're probably thinking about a whole lot of other things, like, okay, am I going to get this live stream up and running? Just, sound in general. Do they sound good? Do I need to tweak anything on the board? But no, you're taken away from that, and you have to focus on flipping slides. And that's a burden. But that's kind of like the first problem. That the blatant fact of you have to run the presentation is the most basic issue with the traditional presentations. This leads us into our second issue, which you probably dread the moment when your worship leader calls out and goes, "Hey, can we repeat that chorus?" Or, "No, I don't like that lyric there. We're not doing that. We're changing it to something else." And you're like, ugh. You're taken away from what you're working on, and now you have to roll over to your computer that runs the presentation, open up the slides, and go, "Okay, which song are we on? Okay, what do you want? You want to repeat that chorus?" And you've got to go in there, make that change, and okay, good, moving along. But that's just a dreaded and annoying problem. Hey, you might even find yourself in this situation. They've got their music, and you've got your slides, right? What they sing is not always the same as what you've got in your presentation. So you might be actually checking over the slides and checking over their work instead of doing mixing or setting up your live stream. So during rehearsal, you're literally just checking to make sure what they got is what you got. And I can see how that can totally take away time from what you could be doing, but can't because you're stuck checking over slides. And that's just a super annoying issue. Like, it shouldn't be this way. Couldn't there be a way where you don't have to check over the slides, like with what they have and what you have would be the same? Well, continue watching. But this brings us to the third issue. Let's say you do have an automatic presentation. That saves you from clicking through slides during service, which is great. Our church, we didn't do that necessarily until we got onto Uplift. We had a manual presentation set up here, but let's say you are doing an automatic presentation. Well, as I know of, there are like 2 methods you could do that, with number 1 being a timer. Like, literally, you're going in and putting in timers to say, or it will be like 1.2742 seconds till the next slide, right? It's like literally a second or millisecond specification of, oh, this is how much time it should take, and then you should go to the next slide, and to the next, and to the next. I don't even know if people do that, or even if that's effective even. Because, like, how do you know when to start and make sure you're in sync with the team when they start a song? That seems a little cumbersome. But here's the real kicker, as we talked about changes, is let's say they want to repeat a section, or change a lyric. Even tempo changes will get you. You'll have to go back in and reprogram all that timing if they make maybe even a small change. And really tempo, like if they bump it up by 5 beats per minute, or like, oh, this was way too fast, let's take it down by 10 BPM, that's gonna throw off your timing for sure. Like, that's totally gonna throw it off. Those 5 beats per minute really make a difference, trust me. So that basically creates more work for yourself. Sure, it saves you work in the service, but to actually get to that point, that's a whole lot of work that you would have to redo if there's a change. So that's one method, like timers. Pretty simple. But number 2, the other method that people could use, and this is probably more likely what you're using, is MIDI signals. So I know one church, I talked to a worship leader at another church, and that's what they do. Along with their click track, which they have in your in-ears, and with their cue track, they've got MIDI cues. But in this case, MIDI is just acting as a signal to go to your presentation software, if it supports it, to say, hey, let's flip the slide, and flip the slide now, and then flip the slide now. And that's what it's doing. What's nice is if they change the tempo, they speed up their click or slow it down, that's going to be in sync with you. So you don't have to worry about tempo changes. That fixes that, which is great. But let's say, again, you rearrange sections, they change a lyric, they're switching things around or taking things away. You've got to make sure what you got matches what they have, because the MIDI signals they're sending is just a signal. It's just that. It just says, boop, go to the next. It's literally no different than you clicking the keyboard. Like, that's all it is. It doesn't tell you where you should be or what line you're on or what section it is. It's just a go to the next slide. That's all that says. So if you're not in sync with what they have, if there's a mismatch, that's going to be a disaster. Some slide is just going to change at the wrong time. And besides them singing the wrong thing and the slide not saying the right thing, it's just going to flip at the wrong time, which is just going to be confusing for everybody. And that's just not ideal. So although that does save you work in the service, I think it actually increases your mental load of like, okay, we gotta make sure this is correct. And you're probably checking that, like in rehearsal, checking to make sure your presentation is right on line with what they're doing. So all these 3 problems boil down to the fact that they're taking you away from mixing, sound checking, tweaking that EQ a little bit, whatever the case may be. Maybe adjusting that broadcast mix, switching cameras for the live stream, just a litany of other tasks that you could be focusing on. It takes you away from that and forces you to manage something that, honestly, could be just a second thought, out of sight, out of mind. So you might be wondering now, okay, how does Uplift solve these 3 problems? So number 1, we talked about you have to run the presentation. Well, with Uplift, if they've entered timing information, your lyric presentation can automatically advance. You don't have to touch a thing. Literally. Like, doing this is just a thing of the past. You no longer have to advance your slides. Uplift will just automatically advance them by itself, which is huge. Because if your worship team uses in-ears and a click track, this will be just a breeze to get on board, because this is what it's really designed for, who it's really designed for. And that workflow is, if they let their music automatically advance, the presentation will also automatically advance as well. And you won't have to do any slide flipping, which means you can actually focus on mixing, changing cameras, whatever it may be, which is great. But you might be wondering, hey, what about the lyric changes? What if they change something? Is that going to throw the whole thing off? Well, no. Uplift is built with this in mind, because I was frustrated with all these problems. Uplift is built so that when they make a change to their music, the presentation is going to update too. because it all comes from the same place. Like, there's no, here's a presentation file and here is their music file. Like, that separation's not a thing. It's all one place. It's a song. They've entered a song into Uplift. They're tackling both their music that they have on stage and the presentation that you're presenting to the congregation. It's all in sync. So what that means is if they want to do a last minute change, if they want to change a lyric, if they want to repeat that chorus 10 extra times, go all for it, because you don't have to touch a thing. You don't have to have them say, hey, insert another chorus. Like, nope. The leader can just go to his music, put in that section, change that lyric, go back to his performance. Not only is his team's music all in sync, but the lyric presentation is updated too, which is great. So you no longer have to feel the weight and burden of having to check over the presentation every single rehearsal. You can confidently rest in the fact that what they have is what you have. So as long as they follow their music, and they're supposed to, as long as they're following their music, it's all in sync, which is great. You don't have to check over the slides anymore. You can focus on what really matters. But you still may be wondering, okay, what about timing? Let's say the timing changes. Well, it works on the same principle. This will be a little technical, but timing in Uplift is not entered in terms of seconds. It's not like 0.1274 seconds till the next line. Like, it's not entered like that. It's entered in terms of beats and measures. So it's much more akin to the MIDI approach than it is to, the timer approach. But what this has in terms of advantage over the MIDI approach is, of course, you can speed it up, slow it down, tempo-wise, and that all stays on track, which is great. But just as the lyrics updated, and when they rearranged sections or whatever they did, it updated, same with the timing. Those updates also communicate those timing changes. So you don't have to worry about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. It actually stays on track and keeps you where you need to be. It's not like, oh, we're just going to send a signal. That's not how it works. It's not like clicking the next key. It's telling, okay, we're on this item in the set list, which would be like a song, for instance, and we're going to start right here, right now, and then because of the timing information, it's just going to take care of the rest and automatically advance. So you don't even have to worry about if timing is off. It's literally hands-free. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to actually jump right in here to Uplift and give you a brief demonstration of what this looks like. So here I am in my song library. You might never even need to touch this part, but let me show you a song real quick, just to let you know what it looks like. So here's Glory to His Name. This is editing the chord sheet view. Your leader can literally build the chord sheet and see it at the exact same time. Like, what you see is what you get, which is really cool. But you see you got different sections like verse, chorus. By the way, these choruses are literally the same section. If he updates one part of it, like changes the lyric, the chorus is the chorus. It's the same section. So you don't have to worry about, having duplicate material in there. But right, here's the chord sheet view. Here's the presentation. This is what you're interested in. So what we've got are the lyrical lines, and since some of those lines are a bit longer than the presentation area, they had to be broken up across the slides, if you'd forgive that term. It's not really slides, they're lyrics, but you get the point. But this is arranged, it's showing you what it will look like. But the true magic happens here in the timing tab. Verse 1, for instance. You've got the chords track. You see these are measures. So there's 8 measures here with 4 beats in it. But literally, they can schedule when that line happens. So this whole presentation is timed. And that's why it can automatically advance, which is super cool. Okay, but you may be wondering, what does that look like? So this is all kind of what you have to do. You just go to the present page, you open the service, and it opens. And then I'm going to go and pull up actually the performance on another screen here, and you'll see it will connect. So see, now it says I'm connected. I'm not going to even touch any of the buttons. I'm going to actually go from the performance here and see it's just navigating for me. So I'll start at the intro here and just start live scroll. Now it's going through 4 bars of an intro. And then eventually here you'll start noticing that these slides, the outline along the slides will just start moving. See, that just moved. That just moved. So what it's doing is automatically advancing. I'm not touching a thing. You see, it's just automatically working, which is super cool. Okay, but you might be wondering, what does that actually look like? So I'm going to stop the presentation here and hit this present button. This will open up a new window, and it just opened up a new window, and I'm going to show you what the presentation looks like. So, okay, I've got the presentation pulled up, so this is what it's going to actually look like. So I'm going to start the click, and see, it now opens, it's going through that intro, but I'm not touching a thing. So this will just automatically scroll. Down at the cross where my Savior died, down where from cleansing from sin I cried. And I'm not touching a thing. It's just automatically scrolling and presenting. And this presentation looks so much better, honestly. I'll stop the click here and see it fades out. But this presentation looks just so much better. It's not like, here's your lyrics, fade out, fade in, next 500 lines of the song, fade out, fade back in. Like, no, it's really simple, it's clean, it's modern, and it's continuous, which is the goal with this presentation. It makes worship feel continuous, not disjointed, because there's never a place where you don't know what's coming next. You always know what's coming next, you always know where you are, and it advances at the right time. Now, of course, as a worship leader, I must admit, we're not always perfect in terms of being on click. So if we do ever get extremely off, you have the option to manually control it. You could jump in. So I could show that real quick. So I'll just go to another song. How about Are You Washed in the Blood? So I can start the click here. It's running. But I could just, use the arrow keys myself, and it will advance. And you could even move around the presentation yourself. But one key thing is, if you have to manually jump in and control one song, you always want to hit resume following. So then that'll give control back to the leader to navigate and to be able to automatically advance the presentation, so you don't have to. But that is an option in there. With Uplift, you can focus on what really matters. Not slide clicking, but mixing, doing sound check, setting up your live stream, flipping cameras, working with your lights, whatever it may be. You can focus on that instead of flipping slides. Gone are the days of slide clicking, being frustrated over last-minute lyric changes, or having to reprogram your whole automatic timing just because of one little change. If this sounds appealing to you, hey, why not just say to your worship leader, hey, check this out. If we automated our presentation with Uplift, that would help me help you guys a whole lot more, because it would give me one less thing to focus on. And we made it so easy to get started. You could just try Uplift for free today and see what it looks like. You can tinker with it, look what the presentation might look like, think about song entry, how that is. But when you're convinced, you can upgrade to the paid version and do exactly what we just demonstrated here, where you can connect with the leader can connect to his team with his music, and then connect to the presentation too. And you can reap all those benefits of not having to advance your presentation, that it could advance in real time, that the lyrics and timing stay all synchronized, and you don't have to touch a thing. But that's all for today's video. I want to say thank you so much for watching. If you found this helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your fellow worship leaders and team. Until next time, keep worshiping unified and unhindered.